last map, this is where they show that to Bleed. Now, bear in mind, with the Yoru, their cards are fairly close to their chest, but I think that once we see that early opening and the collapse off the back of it, I think for Bleed, this may be a really hard-fought defense.
Hard-fought defense, but Crazy Guy's already been knocked down. Mindfreak somehow finds him somewhere through outside of Showers, and Paper Rex already looking to go aggressive onto B site. Dorian finds Benkai, backs away immediately with the teleport, with the dismiss, excuse me, as Retla just cannot handle Jing as he overwhelms the site. TP from Scary technically, and Paper Rex, they still have the... Oh, no. All right, Mindfreak's down, but Paper Rex, yep, they decided to go straight for the TP. It's going to be a straight plant onto A. And that's going to be a 3 versus 3 as the round continues.
I quite like the call to go straight through the TP. It means that the members of Bleed now having to rotate back over to A site. It's another retake for them. And this time Forsaken, he's at such a close angle for Scary. Already anticipating this flank means that for Bleed, every second they're not getting that opening kill is going to be working against them here.
They being thrown by Juicy, but Jing just loves to intercept for that. Took a bit of a while for Durian. And Forsaken already had eyes on short. The flank not really gonna push through from Bleed here. And a solid start for Paper Rex. All started from Mindfreak finding the first frag outside of Showers.
He found that first frag, and what I really like from Mindfreak here is he doesn't overextend. He isn't baited into pushing further and having that to get wheeled against him. Instead, it's a really, really disciplined approach. He allows duelists to be the ones to lead the charge. I mean, as Forsaken showed, once that duelist is in position, he can really do some damage. Now, looking at the next investment, it's not too heavy going into the second round here. We saw a lot of teams in best of ones preferring the second round forced by. Not so much the case here. See a bit of aggression from Darion, hoping for an opening, but it's Paper Rex who, for the time being at least, they're going to keep this control they've been able to garner over towards the B side.
They hella understood what was happening there. The flash, Jing. It was such a great setup. Redla did not have any chance whatsoever to actually retaliate at that point. And you just saw how very cautious Paper Rex are with that flash play with Durian and everything.
Yeah.
As they just basically scrambled when they saw the guiding light actually come through, and they made sure that the Boombot got its contact first before actually pushing forward much farther.
Oh, it looks like they're hunting for the skill points here. Huge amount of aggression. Crazy Guy's going to be caught out potentially. The paint shells are going to buy a bit of space. Jing will fall. But remember, there's a player with only a ghost. Means you're not actually losing all too much. That being said, Scary shoots you in the head, sometimes you lose a little bit more. For Bleed, they are going to be able to actually get really quite a bit of damage for an eco here. They make it well worthwhile for Benkai to try and finish the job. Eventually he does, but a little bit messy for Paper Rex there.
A little bit messy, but I think 3 of those players, or rather 2 of those players were just on the pistols. It's just the one Spectre that they did lose when Jing got devoured. Oh, they really went for the buy. Yeah. Any case, as you mentioned, it is going to fit in. It's never really bad to get that Brimstone up and running faster and quicker to his orbital strike.
On the topic of actually players coming online, Darion one away from his Empress already. And so I really want to see, bear in mind, with such a fast ult like the Reyna ult, I want to see him continue some aggression, use it instantly, take the tempo, force Paper Rex to react to their own aggression. Because if Bleed keeps playing on the back foot, eventually they'll be caught out. And I mean, as demonstrated for Darion, he recovers it beautifully.
Wow, they were just very prepared about how aggressive Paper Rex do play, just to bully themselves, or, you know, just bully their way onto Octagon. You saw Durian and teammate actually just doubled up on Tube more than anything else, and it worked swimmingly for them. It seems like Paper Rex wanted to recuperate. Fortunately, it's not going to work. Durian still has the angle here. Could be out to dry because he does not have any more charges, but the rest of Bleed have come in to help. It's going to be Retla and Crazy Guy to finish things off.
Absolutely, really, really strong response there from Bleed. They make sure that Paper Rex don't get too much momentum before they're able to start showing how they're planning their defense. Really strong stuff thus far. Looking over to Paper Rex, I want to see how they respond, moving to a more slower paced default. Thus far, it's been push for a pick, get the pick, hit the site. I'd like to see a few more layers of strategy behind it. Potentially for Bleed. That being said, you've got that Empress early on. I think they know that Paper Rex aren't too far from being able to bring out the Yoru ult as well as the Showstopper on Jing. So I would like to see Bleed try and force the tempo as soon as possible so Paper Rex can establish themselves.
I wonder if this is a good round for Paper Rex. I was about to say that they might again, just understand that Bleed would play a little bit farther back into the site, but Bleed are mixing up quite well here. Actually pushing more aggressive onto V-Long compared to like the last round where it was so damn different. In any case, they know now that that is a complete TP from someone. Mindfreak is holding at least the angle, waiting, patiently for Retland to come out, but Juice is here. He's going to help his teammate out for the most part, and maybe a flash out, not really needed. Although this is Paper Rex down without Forsaken. They're going to have to rely on Jing to get this started. Although, he does find one.
Aggressive answer, Jing, good for the first. Mindfreak so swift to trade there. Puts us down to the 4 versus 3. Remember, low HP on Jing means this can be punished though. And for Paper Rex, they don't want to risk it. Straight through the teleporter. Jing becomes the lurker. It's all on Darion. It's good for the first. Empress activated. Make it 2. Looks for 3, but it's Divine to lay him low. Jing still low on HP, but still and no longer in that lurker position. Sets the back to his teammate. It's on Divine. Juicy. Good for 2. And with that, it's going to be Bleed equalizing and showing that Paper Rex, that early dominance they were able to establish against God's squad is not the case here.
Yeah, Dorian again just showing his pedigree as the star player of Bleed here, just holding the fort by himself. It took a while. They did take him down, but he's bought enough time for the rest of Bleed to start coming in to help things out. It could have gone either way, but honestly, that was an absolutely great defense from Durian.
You're absolutely right, and for Paper Rex, look at what it's done to their economy, down to pistols. They have a huge ult advantage, but they have nothing to follow those ults up with. And so it may be used spontaneously based on how effectively they're going to be able to get these opening frags, if they can, with these Sheriffs. And if so, Jing, with a shorty, it looks like he may potentially be the one to get that opening, ready to plunge himself into the depths, the labyrinth of lamps, accompanied by the Ori.
Okay. I was going to wonder if Jing actually goes through lamps or over APC. I mean, the APC one, it feels like there's going to be a lot of eyes on it, but it does allow him to get close and personal to Scary. This time, though, Scary is going to be the one to actually get the pick altogether. Spike will get planted, but as you mentioned, it is just going to be the straight-up weaker weapons for Paper Rex, but they do have positioning, and they do have ultimates. If it does get a little bit better of a situation for them, they can use it if they want to.
Juicy is good for Benkai. That may be the follow-up now. Sheriff's not quite able to get their garner their control at all. Lamps may very well become the tomb for this team here. Mindfreak good for Darion. There's absolute chaos on this side. Divide good for one more. The shorty, though, doesn't quite have the range with that. Bleed, they're going to take the lead at 3-2. Defuse comes through. More importantly, even though it looked very chaotic for a moment, it looked very, very messy on that site. They only lost 2 players. And against what, yes, it was an eco, but 2 players, you can kind of justify it. It's just uncomfortable enough for everyone to be comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, somebody still has to get up close and personal to all of these that have shorties and just pistols. So I think what the plan was there for Bleed was just, again, you're seeing it here right now, just play close together. It is a bit chaotic, but as long as they can get those positive refrags in their favor, it's still going to be a good round in the end. Because even if they, it's a little bit expensive, they can still always buy up. Oh, shit.
Look at the ults available here. So much to be wielded from both sides. We already see the showstopper, we already see the Nightfall. We're already a 1-2. Darion, of course, having used that Empress earlier, means that he's going to have to go back to farming one of his own. With the Cosmic Divide going down, Paper Rex, they're going to thrust us into a 5 versus 5 retake. Nightfall comes out, and this is where things get scary for Bleed. How do you go into a retake against this many ults, up against so many abilities? Aggression, punish, Juicy, good for 1. Trades there, Scary to respond. Showstopper out from Juicy. Will the Juice be loose? Missed shot from the Showstopper, but he recovers it with aim. He definitely recovers it with aim. It's all on Mindfreak now. 1 versus 4, and with the Juice most certainly loose, how will Mindfreak look to stop him? The Ray swings out, Mindfreak eventually lays him low, but Darion is there to recover and avenge his fallen comrade as Bleed go 4-2 into the lead.
Bit of a mistake there for Paper Rex. So I got that they wanted to go aggressive through the wall, but they already had such a great post plan. And what people might not realize was that was a 4 versus 5. Durian was very much like in the B side for 10 to 15 seconds. I think he was looking for maybe a flank from somebody from Paper Rex. Take a breath. It's always that. I think it also goes back to the point where when we were watching RRQ when their first match, or the second match, which was up against Heretic, they looked very antsy. So I was kind of hoping for faster, earlier tactical timeouts such as this from Paper Rex. This is usually things that you hear from coaches during the interviews, that it wasn't really anything tactical. They just wanted them to, just chill out first.
Yeah.
This is kind of good. Anyways, yeah, it is not going to be savory in terms of the weapons for Paper Rex, but they still have a huge chunk of utility, and because they do have Jing as well as Forsaken, even if they don't really have those long-range rifles, they can always get up close and personal with the gap close that they have.
Really, really nice back there. Gonna buy a little bit of time, but for Paper Rex, once again, it's a sight. Once again, this could be another 5 versus 5 retake. Juicy doesn't have a weapon, surprisingly, so he may be in trouble here. Luckily, he's got teammates to mop up, clean up, and make Paper Rex shut up the howls of those rifles will slowly be silenced as Darion tears through. Oh, Divide, good for another, on for the third, and there it goes. Suddenly Paper Rex looking a little bit more dangerous. Divide's retrieved the Vandal into the 1 versus 2. Swings out, good for one, can't quite make the second there. Crazy guy. He will restore equilibrium to the rounds, at least for Bleed, but that was way too close for comfort.
Way too close for comfort, but I mean, Divide was taking so much damage already, unfortunately could not convert that last kill. Look at how aggressive this was, and really backing on the fact that the Prowler has just cleared up all the corners. Bleed have got into a position or a mindset where they're just gonna keep baiting each other, but in a good way. The trades is always there to be set up for them, and there's always that kind of sequence, that gap, that Paper Rex can't find the other player, and it just makes it easier for Bleed to get that pick. Now, looking into this, Paper Rex do have the rifles, they do have Benkai's ultimate, and Benkai actually pretty aware that Durion is just going to go aggressive for the peak on board.
The response is almost attempted by Crazy Guy here. He's not been able to catch out these plays. He's going to hear them run, though. I love the follow-up aggression. It is suspected by Forsaken, and so we aren't seeing an overextension. What we are seeing, though, is a stack over on the safe side from Bleed. They're going to need to start pushing players away. They're going to need to start committing to these rotates. Otherwise, Paper Rex, they're going to be able to get this B site for free.
B site for free because of the setups that they do have. Astra's stars are being prepped up already. Does Divide have himself a haunt? Yep, there it is, as you can see top right. That's going to make sure that they've cleared up basically everything on the site itself. And 5 versus 4. Again, Bleed still have a shot at this, but not having Durion anymore does make things a little bit antsy for them. Jing already intercepting through Murder Hole, as he does find out Scary Guy, or excuse me, Crazy Guy.
He is a scary guy, though.
Sure enough.
Terrifying.
One of the best players from Vietnam.
I tried to say hello to him in the hotel, just petrified. Couldn't get the words out.
Well, it is still somehow near Halloween. Yes, anyways. Yeah. Trades aplenty for Paper Rex. There was that 2-man push coming out from elbow, so they had every single angle of, or avenue of exit into the site for Bleed basically sealed up.
Yep, absolutely. Really, really strong rounds. And as you sort of look at the replay here, feels like Darion, that aggression, if it was just a moment sooner, he'd have been able to get past that fault line. If it was a moment later, he could have run away. Either way, that timing just hurt him. But I don't necessarily think it was time. I think it was Paper Rex getting the gist of how Bleed are planning their defense. Darion's death, though, has harkened on the operator. And now with this operator, I want to see if we'll continue this aggression, or if it's going to be a bit more of a passive stance for Bleed here. Paper Rex once again looking to set themselves up for this A-site execution. And you look at the ult management, it's limited from both teams. Definitely a lot to work with. Crazy Guy through the smoke, good for the first, instantly traded. Now Scary, what can he do?
Darion's all the way through B once again by himself. Again, he threatens with the operator, and this could be the TP onto B. That's why he's still sticking the angle, but Forsaken is so far deep onto the side itself. That thing is going to be a little bit late, so I wonder if Divide can... Yep, he definitely can survive. Forsaken holding the fort first. On the first contact, backs away. And now, here once again, we do have the rest of Paper X just hovering towards A-Short, while Benkai is just somewhere far, maybe holding the flank just in case Darion decides to get a little bit cheeky to play that flank angle. Juicy tries to clear up things. There's the smokes, and here comes the retake for Bleed.
Fault line a little bit short though, but timing is a cool mistress. That being said, Bleed, where did that come from? every single member rises to the occasion, and it's a ruthless symphony of kills as Paper X are laid to rest. 6-3, at least a draw guaranteed in the half now for the members of Bleed. And I tell you what, if I told you this is how our half was going to start in our pre-game, you just wouldn't have believed me. Bleed off to a formidable entry to their tournament.
Juicy is so aware. Like, add to that, you mentioned how he's number 3 right now in APAC. Add to that and his ability to just react as quick as Forsaken and Jing. It's a potent mix that ruins the tempo of both Forsaken and Jing in that moment, right? Because when you're pushing through that,
it breaks their rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. When you're pushing through that, usually it's the one inside the smoke that gets the kill. But this time, Juicy is just challenging how quick Forsaken can react to his aggression, and Juicy is coming out on top.
Oh, I love this Yoru ult. Instantly getting so much information. The fault line goes off, flashes to follow. Forsaken punishes Crazy Guy with a lethal swing there. And very much there's so much info to work to make. No the other player's going to be in low. Darion, good for one. He's actually able to take a few players with him, and better still, gets away. All of a sudden, for Paper X, this isn't a done deal. Bayside looking to make sure it is, though. Juicy only good for one. Instantly traded. Darion, 1 versus 3. Forsaken will deal that killing blow. And all of a sudden, this game just gets even closer. You know what? I'm tempted to agree with you. I think this very well could be overtime. A bit early to say, I know, but I'm an ambitious man.
Yeah.
I see it going to OT.
I'm still with you, man. I'm still with you. I definitely do agree on this one. Look how they just changed the tempo. Okay.
Yeah.
You're understanding how we're positioned. Pick again, dismiss, reposition. That takes a lot of time, and that's what we really saw from the rest of them. Is this a proper round? Yeah, it is. Jing actually finds Retla as they go mad aggressive onto the B site. Big flank coming already from Juicy here. Mindfreak's heard all of this. I wonder if he's going to be able to intercept, but no! Mindfreak denies, Mindfreak punishes. Scary's coming in from the corner, but Mindfreak is so aware. There's only 2 players from Bleed to remain. I think a fake TP from Forsaken here, but they're chasing Orion down to the ends of the earth, and now they know where Crazy Guy is.
Absolutely perfect, Crazy Guy. He's going to try and buy some space with that siege, but no, Forsaken will run him down. What a round from Paper X, and this is the Paper X that we were sort of expecting going to the tournament. So quick, even the aggressive teams aren't quite ready for it. And they're so quick that when the flanks come through, they assume that they're not going to be heard. We see Mindfreak, beautiful round by him, and some really good vigilance as well to anticipate a flank.
I will say, I was double checking if they had like a Sentinel, but they don't. So it feels like some teams will never have that one player, right, just to hold the lurk. But Paper X always have that due diligence just to have, because I feel like they're confident enough with 4 players and what the synergy with their utilities, synergy with their pushes are, that they're always just, okay, it's either Mindfreak or Benkai that holds the lurk, right? So I think it works out in their favor because they're always just making sure that they don't get that flag. They don't get flagged, excuse me.
Yeah, and you look at the ult management as well going into this final round of the half. You've got that Cosmic Divide available for Mindfreak. You're 1 away from that ult on the Yoru. Over to Bleed, you've got your Showstopper and your Nightfall, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they get used in unison. Bearing in mind now, it's a very, very slow start to this final round of the half. So slow, in fact, we may be due a tech pause. I've got an inkling.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Yeah, there might have been something that happened in this one.
First half in just a moment. Going into the final round of this first half, will it be Paper X to equalize, or will it be Bleed to keep their lead, cling to their lead against rank 1, not just in NYSG, but potentially in APAC?
I mean, that's a very true statement. Like, just the way that both Forsaken, Jing just move, shoot, aim, it's just incredible. I mean, Juicy is on par with them by none, but we'll see, as you mentioned, how well they can equalize into this one. There's so many options that they can go for, but the first step for Paper Rex in this last round of the first half is just to spread themselves out a teeny tiny bit. Mindfreak could be in a bit of a surprise as there's 2 players already hovering outside. The quick TP from Forsaken. He's trying to need somebody to peek him out. Fake out first, get a little bit of contact. That is going to spot out where Retla is, right underneath on Hookah. Now Forsaken knows. Now everybody from Paper X knows. But they're still holding on. I love how they're using a lot of utility just to make things out. Got hit by the Nightfall, and here comes the push from Forsaken, getting all this bits of information. Again, they don't really have to push into this, and that's what's happening. They're rotating all the way around to A, but they're also doubling back once again to B, as Forsaken hears everybody exodus away from the B side. One more,
Absolutely
and nobody
perfect.
was looking at his direction.
It's so hard to try and catch out these players, particularly when they're just dancing around the map. I don't think Paper Rex actually committed to either of these sites until Forsaken was able to get that opening kill. Then the full commitment came around. Perfect stuff from Paper Rex now. Really starting to come alive here, but maybe Juicy is going to do just the same. Darion good for the first, down to the 3v3. No ults left now. It's all on raw, pure, unfiltered aim, of which Mind Freak has a lot. Ready to swing over from Murder Hole into Juicy. Only just able to get out of Hookah, but time is one cruel mistress. A very valuable teacher, but unfortunately she kills all her students, something which I think Juicy may learn very damn quickly. With that, Paper Rex, there goes Ender half at 6-6.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no chance Juicy could have clutched that. I love how Mind Freak didn't overheat. He just went back. He knew he still had the star. He knew he had a teammate that was holding on elbow, and the spike was perfectly planted for anybody who's going to be playing there, especially with the gravity well still up and running. Again, you mentioned it. They didn't really need to commit to any of the sites. Forsaken just had to get that information and just had to get at least one frag in for the rest of them to start pouring back onto B. That dimensional drift is a Swiss Army knife in the hands of Paper Rex. Just so many uses, so many things that allows them to get so much out of.
You're absolutely right. And now, as we sort of go into this second half, I want to see if Paper Rex are able to keep their tempo moving to the defense. And if they're going to continue trying to push for this opening kill, they're going to try and push to out aggro Bleeds. Will they be doing it on their defense? Will the half really matter to them?
Whew. I mean, again, Darion is on that arena. He can always pop off. He can always snowball from that sequence of kills, But the big problem to that is, can he really find that? At least now, as you mentioned, because they're going to be on that attacking side, Darion does have the capability to be able to make that happen. So I don't know how this is going to go. Also, because Paper Rex is going to be on the double duelist as well, no sentinels on defense, it feels like there's a lot more holes in their defending side that, again, Bleed could try to, pressure to push and see how well Paper Rex actually play on this particular roster.
Yeah, something I want to mention as well is Bleed, yes, they're equal with Paper Rex, but they really struggled towards the end of that first half. Paper Rex doing significantly well to punish them. Can Bleed recover and sort of reset going into our second half? If not, Paper Rex, dare I say, may walk all over them, and that overtime prediction we had, may be long out the window. I actually think the pistol round is going to be so damn important now.
Yeah. I just actually also forgot that it's also Yoru, so there's a lot of trickery that could be happening with the TPs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and of course, if you're greedy enough to try to push through on Hookah, there's always the TP nades. Forsaken follows up with the flash play or something like that. Even though, again, as I mentioned before, right, I was thinking, there's going to be a lot of holes in the defense here for Paper Rex. This composition also gives them a very unique way to approach the defense as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Compared to if you have a Sentinel or a more traditional comp. I don't want to call it meta comp because I don't think meta exists in Valorant yet. Traditional comp.
I also want to mention as well, Bleed a little bit top heavy with the frags. Juicy and Darion, beautiful game so far. Over on Paper Rex, top frag being Forsaken with only 12. It's the rest of the team that are really kind of making up for the lack of firepower. I say lack of firepower, making up for the lack of kills on Forsaken. Mind Freak, Devi, and Jing all sort of tied with 9 kills here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a nice spread at least.
Absolutely, and look at the stacks on both teams. Once again, it's going to be an absolute slaughter outside of the speed side.
Okay, hold on. There's a lot of push already coming through B long here. I think Bleed anticipate this perfectly, and Darion's already pushing in. He did spot a bit of contact on elbow, but that doesn't matter. At least they do get the control on the site. 2 players in Hookah holding on, delaying for as much as they can. Ooh, unfortunately for Mind Freak, does not spot the plant from Scary, so this is going to be a full-blown retake. But Bleed is so close to just keep getting these refrags all together, they are bullying Paper Rex purely from the numbers standpoint.
Absolutely, and they're just taking 2 versus 1s constantly. Forsaken is able to try and level the playing field, but there's still a man down. Lowest kill Darion means it's punishable, and there it is. It starts to stack up, but Juicy, good for 2 now, and Benkai alone. It's the final killing blow from Retler as Bleeds take the lead and show that they're not out of puff yet. They've still got a lot more gas in the tank, and, well, I tell you what, I think that, bearing in mind both teams from Singapore, means they have definitely scrimmed against each other a lot. And I would argue that, judging by the similarity in these pistol rounds, and sort of aggressive pushes towards B long, this is something that has probably been rehearsed time and time again.
Yeah, I was going to say they have definitely experienced this multiple times already, and the one angle where both of those pushes get no value is out of B long.
Yeah.
Because Forsaken is already out of there. He was pushing through showers. The fake out that he had just to get some contact somewhere on mid, nowhere to be found, nowhere to be, again, seen. And now Bleed, they're just going to try to, again, re-aggress.
Oh, what a paint shell. Forces Divide to separate from the rest of his team. Aggression from Forsaken is punished. Divide now already half HP. The rest of them were able to join him, but unfortunately, Utility isn't aiding kills just enough. Retler, 3 in the round, brings Bleed to their 8th, thrusting them into the bonus. And for Paper Rex now, a chance to bring out Vandals and a chance potentially to make sure that this round differential doesn't exceed 2.
Yeah. It's not only Paper Rex that do have that explosive entry onto the site. You can see that Bleed also have some tricks on their books, on their sleeves, but you're absolutely right. It was also the weaker weapons on Paper Rex, the lack of utility therein after as well. So coming into this one, this is where at least we could see maybe what the idea is of Paper Rex, just to deal with this over-aggression. Because even if this is the bonus, I mean, you do have Juicy on that on this race that has actually bought a judge, so they have something in mind, in plan for a close quarter combat.
I love it. Darion swift to get that opening. Ooh! So well, just as swiftly, Mindfreak able to trade. Mindfreak has done so well to trade. Consistently, he's getting that second kill of a round now. Can he try and make it 3? No, he can't. Overwhelmed and forced out of position by Retler. There's the impact of that judge. Juicy at point blank. Tries to get more, but Jing will eventually, through the smoke, finish him off. But it's all on Benkai. 1 versus 3. Limited ammo. And only 70 HP to work with. Retler gives that killing blow. Retler in the second half really starting to show his true colors.
It's shining through.
Yeah, really. It's hard to shine through when you've got Juicy who kills everyone. So, and Darion, so yeah, fair play to him.
Fair play indeed.
In fact, a Jubilee game potentially for him.
Let's look at that replay real quick here. Look at that, man. They had everything planned for that. Forsaken was just pushing out and wasn't even expecting that Juicy was already in the back of him. So whatever Forsaken does, you know, to make opponents guess or to make opponents mistime his pushes, Juicy is also doing the same thing.
I also want to mention Retler now has the Seekers available. Darion is sort of about to get his Emperor Scary one from his Orbital Strike. Over on Paper Rex, no one's about to get their ults, but all of them are going to get their ults at the same time. It's a lot more uniform, which means that usually I'm expecting to see something a lot more swift, potentially a lot more aggressive for at least for a defensive setup when you have that ult advantage. Paper X calling the timeout. I really like the early timeout, but unfortunately for Paper X, though, using your timeout so early can be a double-edged sword. If you can reel it back in, if you can keep your control, if you can then start getting rounds off the back of it, awesome. You've mitigated the damage. But if this timeout doesn't work, you've got no other Hail Marys.
And to be fair as well, though, they also need to address things early now because Bleed is nearing that finish line. And even though I like how you mentioned that Paper Rex are nearing their ultimates, it's going to take, give or take 2 to 3 rounds before they actually reach that point.
Well,
so
they lose this down to an eco. Then go through the eco, bring out the rifles again. And
that's not a point. That's not a position where they actually want to be in, obviously.
It puts so much pressure onto one round that if that round doesn't work, the game's over.
Whew. And I can feel the tension here for Paper Rex.
You could cut through the tension with a butter knife on the stage right now. You know when people glare at each other and like sparks come out their eyes, they meet in the middle? That's Jing and Juicy right now.
The young bloods for both teams.
Lead
Prodigies.
just sitting outside of this B side, trying to get a little bit of early control, but actually trying to bait Paper Rex into trying to take a duel with them, with sort of shorties on Forsaken. You really need to be careful with the angles you take, and I think Bleed acutely aware of that as Darion beat the entry. Mindfreak falls. Mindfreak has been instrumental in keeping the man count level. The Paper Rex, unfortunately, unable to do so this round. Luckily, when he falls, Jing and Devi will respond. Sheriff in hand, unable to complete it though. The near sight is going to leave the remaining two members of Paper Rex both pushing through the same angles of attack. Please, we're treading through just moments ago.
So they're going to try to two-prong approach this. Clear out every single corner. They're outnumbered, so they have to at least do due diligence just to make sure that nobody's going to be checking these corners out or being on these particular locations. Jingdo is popping off, needs to reposition, but he's blinded by Redlet through that guiding light. A little bit too close for comfort, but still, Bleed transmutates that into a round that they still win in the end.
Absolutely. It was dire for a moment there. Just about able to recover. And I'll tell you what, it's the utility usage that carries Bleed through there. If they were taking just raw angels, and here's the thing with Paper Rex, you can't take raw angels with them. I would argue the sort of rules to live by on Valorant. If you're taking a fair fight, it's the wrong fight to take. You need something else, whether that be another player to help you, whether that be utility to near sight, flash, to concuss, to stun. You have so much to work with. If you're taking a 1v1 with pure aim, then you're doing something wrong. And Paper Rex, I mean, they thrive on that.
That's a good way to go into this approach here. All right, first and foremost, they only shot one bullet from one person to break the utility. Yeah, they haven't really shown that there's like 4 players of Paper Rex out, or rather, excuse me, of Bleed outside of B Long. So this could be a challenge if they actually try to peek out of things. But again, PRX are very aware that the threat could be there. That's why you're seeing just Devi jiggle peek one out. He's still holding the angle here, has one more Prowler to utilize, and he's going to be playing with Benkai, maybe with the fault line. Don't really want to use it too prematurely, because if that is the case, they could just run all the way through the A side, and then they won't really have any concuss to stop the
portal closed.
Well, for lack of a better term, the bleed into the sites happening.
You see the execution come in. It's a full collapse onto the same site, and as Bleed cascade, they will waterfall their way onto the defensive positions of Paper Rex. For now, Paper Rex, they go quiet, they lay in wait, they coil like pythons ready to strike, but into a 5 versus 5 retake. It's a gauntlet to run, especially when Rattler plucks 2 of your players instantly from the retake.
That is not what Paper Rex were looking for. They were looking for an equal trade or maybe just the overwhelm. And look at this, every single corner that they try to set things up, they get tripped up by Bleed. Mindfreak all on his own outside of triple. He's going to get immediately refragged, and 2 more rounds, 2 more steps, and this best of 1 is over.
Yeah, it's these sparks are flashing, these consecrations of light when they're hiding onto these sites. Unfortunately, the darkness that is going to fall onto Paper Rex may very well be looming on the horizon, especially now that the B long aggression hasn't worked, the passive B setup hasn't worked, the aggression on A hasn't worked, and the passive A setup hasn't worked. What else can you try if you're on Paper Rex? What needs to change to be able to start catching out Bleed, and to be able to start catching out Darion, who's been instrumental in getting these opening kills?
That's a hard answer, because you basically pointed out the plays that we see for Paper Rex out of their book. So maybe...
Oh my...
Yeah.
As we were case in point. Case in point, Asarai. You see, he'll jump straight onto the side. He gets another cheeky angle through Murder Hole. Paper Rex. There's a world here where they have to back off and save. Mindfreak, he has exactly 0 credits.
They gotta save this. They've
got
have no economy whatsoever. It is shattered. It is broken. It is battered. They just gotta try to at least keep something alive for the next round.
You need to remember as well that Bleed, they've hit the best possible timing you could want, which is to reset your opponents while simultaneously hitting map and series points.
And it's such a long way for Paper Rex, right? Even if somehow they manage to thread the optimized situation that Bleed are in, there's so many rounds that they have to bring this back. Like, it is going to be a work. A lot of work for Paper Rex to make that happen.
Absolutely right now, Benkai. Judge in hand, I mean, Judge in lamps, I couldn't think of a scarier prospect here. How many can he take with him? The answer is potentially not many. Crazy Guy also falls elsewhere. And actually, they don't seem to care about the judge. Potentially wanting Benkai to have the judge because it doesn't have as much fluidity as a Vandal.
And again, if you survive, you only have 1,000 credits.
Exactly.
But brought back to you. And since there is max loss bonus for Paper Rex right now, they don't want to also give him just the ability to maybe drop somebody an extra rifle or so. And you're kind of seeing that, I think, with Forsaken, just on the shorty. To be fair, he does have the dimensional drift, but this is not a position that, you know, he's really going to want, especially on the defending side. Maybe on the attacking side, it's a lot better, a lot straightforward, but we'll see how that kind of works as he's alone pushing into this like this.
Absolutely, it's brave, but you need that Hail Mary from Forsaken. Ready with his flash. Timing is potentially going to be a curse to him here. Breaks it in the back line. I think this was heard from Bleed, though. Remember, look at the ults at Paper Rex. They went into this round. We said they were going to hit that mass where everything comes online at once. This is it. This is up against the Showstopper available for Juicy, and of course, the Seekers on Retler instantly deployed to see if there's still going to be that Yoru in the back line. Figuring out he's no longer there. It's straight here onto the
very nice.
The judge point blank Benkai, what can you do? And when the judge fails, the shorty tries to recover.
Oh man, they really needed that pick off. He just wanted to, again, go head to head with Juicy there, and not really expecting that the judge was going to be right up in his face. Of course, it's still not yet over. Forsaken will have to try to pick up a weapon here or something. Benkai's so close to everybody, he can just cut tips. And look at that, Dorian was already there. This has turned chaotic, pandemonious even. And as the dust settles, so hold on, it's Bleed that is outnumbered, but they have the weapons, they can recuperate, and they found out Jing. Here comes the vibe, but Dorian will not be denied. Forsaken, he still hasn't picked up a weapon, and Dorian, oh my god, no way, he's 11 HP. Forsaken can still win this! Forsaken can still win this!
Oh, no! What's up to end it? That is